Today we're going to show you a set of basic important steps using Elklight Velarium and a DSLR. First, we will insert an SD card from our DSLR. This card contains 2 video files. The numeric sequences on these files fall into the 1000 and 2000 ranges. We're going to use these numeric ranges to demonstrate a camera mapping feature a little later on. We need to tell the application what directory to use for input. Click on the Input Directory arrow and select our mounted SD card. Then click Open. Now, we'll decide what location we want the import output to be located in. This is where Velarium will put the renamed, organized, and processed output files. We're going to click the Output Directory arrow. Then create a new directory called Media. Then click Select. Next, we'll choose our output format. This is a template that will build a new file name and output location based on both derived and directly entered data. You can see the current options available in this dropdown. Let's go ahead and define a new template. We're going to organize our files under a directory for the project name, followed by a directory for the scene, and then another directory for media type, which will be audio or video, and then the real name for the actual file name. We're treating the real name as a unique identifier for each piece of media, much like a physical tape reel has a unique label. We have a number of predefined metadata and timestamp tokens that we can use to build our template. You can also enter text directly if you have a specific fixed format that you'd like to use. Let's move down to the metadata section. We're naming our project Steam Engines of Tennessee. We've been filming the intro scene. And we have a couple of notes that we want to enter about these media assets. This is a batch metadata entry function. Everything we enter here will be applied to all of our imported files. We have a few options here concerning writing metadata to the files, but we'll address those in a later video. In our output format, we have a token called real as part of our file name. Here in the metadata section, we can define exactly how we build the real name. The dropdown reveals several options, but we're going to create a new one. Let's define our real name for this project as being a camera identifier plus a timestamp from the source media. In other words, the time the camera wrote the file, and a 3-digit sequence number. If you need to stay within 8 characters for EDL or other downstream use, you can use the fixed width token to your advantage. Our real name contains a camera identifier, so our next step is to define a camera mapping. Click on the Edit Camera Maps button, and then enter an example file name based on what we know our camera will produce. If you've imported other files before, this field will contain the last file imported. Use your mouse to highlight the characters that will be specific to a camera. In this case, we know ABCD1 is specific to camera A, and that ABCD2 is specific to camera B. You can also enter a camera map pattern directly in the pattern field rather than use the utility highlighter. You can use any characters that you know will map uniquely to different cameras, with the exception of the asterisk, which is a search pattern wildcard. We want to keep this preset for future use and for sharing with teammates, so we'll enter a new preset name and save. This will allow us to export this preset for organization or sharing and import it later, as we'll see in a later video. Now we click Import and head over to our output directory to watch what's happening as Velarium imports the media. You can see that our output template has been turned into a directory structure and our dynamic reel and camera tokens have been set. When finished, we see an import summary showing the files and elapsed time for processing each file. If there were any errors or warnings, we should see them here as well. Stay tuned for additional videos on exporting, importing, and sharing presets, working with metadata, extracting audio, and interfacing with Final Cut Pro.